Testing 1, 2, 3. Real quick mic check right now. This is Christopher with the National Service here in Slidell. If you can hear me, just let us know in the comments. Definitely, as always, running into computer issues around here. Try 1, 2, 3. Testing. Can anybody hear me? Mic check. Hey, all right. Sounds like we do have. Thank you very much, Dana and Tiffany. Appreciate that. We'll go ahead and get started here in just a few seconds. I know we're running behind. It's at 3 o'clock, but obviously with some computer issues, we're trying to get started. It's been a few days since I've actually done one of these, so just trying to make sure I'm not too rusty on this. I gotta let a few more people jump in, and we'll try to get through this real quickly. Obviously, kind of the increasing threat for tomorrow, mainly afternoon, early evening hours. All right, everybody, thank you for joining us. My name is Christopher Bannon with the National Service here in Slidell, Louisiana. Going to give a real quick update on the severe weather risk. Looks like tomorrow, Thursday, February 16th, into the early evening hours. Also a slight flash flooding risk. Don't want to overlook the potential for heavy rainfall, but that is definitely kind of on the lower end of our concerns for tomorrow. So real quickly, we're going to go kind of into our little slideshow here, kind of go over what we need to be worried about and what you should be knowing and preparing for. First, definitely want you to make sure everyone, if you're following us, know which offices to follow for your information. Know what parish you're in, county you're in, city. That way you know which office is going to be issuing the warnings for your area. Right now, the greatest severe weather risk is actually in Mobile and Jackson, Mississippi's area when you're looking at the four offices on our screen right now. However, the severe risk has started to slowly increase, at least the potential, as we've kind of continued to look at a few things, getting a little bit more concerned, especially across Southwest Mississippi and right across the border into some of those Louisiana, what we call the Florida parishes. So like, Walthall, St. Tammany, Tangipahoa, St. Helena, the Felicianas, all the way to East Baton Rouge and Livingston parishes. Those are kind of those Florida parishes when we talk about that, if you didn't know what Florida parishes meant. So again, the four offices around the area, you got Jackson, Mississippi to our north, got Mobile to our east, and Lake Charles to our west. And then, of course, we are the National Service New Orleans, Baton Rouge, located, though, in Slidell. So just like your baseball and football stadiums, they got 3 different names, and so does our office. Again, know your location, and the main reason is you want to make sure that you know what type of risk you're looking for. Also, it kind of gives you an idea when we issue these timing graphics, you get an idea of the time, because as the map's pointing with that little arrow near Poplarville, Mississippi, if you live closer towards Baton Rouge, well, your timing is going to be completely different than what they're expecting over in Poplarville, Mississippi. So know where you are. That way you have a better idea of the time frame you're looking for to when you need to be prepared. But then also know where you are so you know what type of severe weather risk, because again, looking at that map, you see Poplarville there. It's in that yellow area, the slight risk or level 2 of 5. But if you're in Baton Rouge, you're in level 1 of 5, so the severe risk is not quite as high there. Again, these are just examples though. This is not the current forecast, just trying to give you an idea of why you need to know your location. It will allow you to better prepare for the potential for severe weather and allow you to know when and what to do during those possible severe weather events. All right, so talking about our system tomorrow, we do have an enhanced risk for severe weather. This has slightly been increased across our area today. The earlier date, what we call the day 2 outlook from Storm Prediction Center, did not have like the Baton Rouge metro area in there. It was in that darker green, the marginal risk, level 1 of 5. The yellow was actually kind of pulled just southwest of Hammond, and it ran northwest into the West Feliciana areas and towards like Wilkinson County, so Woodville, Mississippi. After looking at some things this morning, getting a little bit more concerned with the possibility of thunderstorms developing earlier in the day. Through coordination with the Storm Prediction Center, along with our offices near us, we did pull that slight risk down to the southwest. So it goes all the way down to Morgan City now in the Atchafalaya Basin area with that slight risk. However, they also did increase that enhanced risk to the southwest. If the ingredients if we start seeing things that say it could be a little bit worse than we're expecting right now, I wouldn't be surprised to see that enhanced risk area increase even a little bit more, possibly push down to the southwest just a tad. I don't think it's going to get down to the I-12 corridor, but it wouldn't be surprised if it's dragged to the west, south, and even southeast, maybe an additional, but probably more southwest and west, an additional 20, 30 miles. So it could absolutely include Hammond. I mean, Macomb, get really close to Hammond, Louisiana. However, looking at everything we see right now, I have a hard time thinking that that's enhanced risk and get pulled all the way down to I-12. So Baton Rouge should probably remain in that slight risk. Looking down towards further southeast Louisiana, south of the lake, where New Orleans is in that marginal risk right now, everything we're looking at really should stay marginal. It wouldn't surprise me if they try to kind of broad brush a little bit more, if they pull the slight risk down. However, everything suggests severe weather potential will be very difficult to come by south of the lake there. The way the system's pulling, all of the ingredients, all the better parameters are going to start kind of south and southwest of Baton Rouge and then just pull off to the northeast. And this, as a whole, it's not going to move east. So the severe weather potential is definitely lower in the New Orleans area. So far less risk of really impacting your parades tomorrow night with severe weather. However, there will still be showers, thunderstorms, and even lightning tomorrow late afternoon and during the evening hours. So it'll be absolutely something we need to watch for if you are, partaking in some of those parades tomorrow night. Across coastal Mississippi, they are in that slight risk right now. Again, the same issues with New Orleans. A little bit more concerned that the slight risk may be overdoing it just a tad because, again, those ingredients and parameters are going to pull off to the northeast. However, coastal Mississippi tends to kind of, I don't want to say overachieve, but they tend to have a little bit better risk of getting severe weather at times compared to that extreme portions of southeast Louisiana. So that slight risk right now, which is covering that area, seems it's okay. Probably won't change much overnight. Really not expecting that enhanced risk to be pulled down into like Jackson, Harrison, and Hancock counties. So your severe weather risk time frame, I'm going to go over that a little bit later on another slide. However, the tornado risk is definitely more of a concern during the afternoon hours, and it's especially in that orange area, the enhanced risk area, and then just to the southwest. So, northern Tangipahoa, St. Helena Parish, Amite County, Pike County, maybe even the northern fringes of Livingston Parish, northeast East Baton Rouge Parish, and East Feliciana. That is the area to be a little bit more concerned for the tornado risk. Again, that looks like it'd be tomorrow afternoon. Probably not in the evening hours because as we start to move towards the late afternoon, evening hours, that's when our cold front starts to catch up and we start to transition to more of a wind risk. From the standpoint of rainfall, that may be, okay, that'll be another slide after this. That severe weather timing, as I mentioned, you see that 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. for Area 1, 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. for Area 2, and then 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. for Area 3. I want to focus on that this is specifically severe weather timing. This is not rainfall timing. This is not heavy rainfall timing as well. The end time frame for all of these areas is when we expect that cold front to be near and then moving through those areas. Obviously, there's a little wiggle room around Macomb. 3 p.m. may be a little early. However, by 3 p.m., Macomb's probably going to be overrun by a few storms already, so that severe risk may already be decreasing, even if the front is still just west of their area. But 9 a.m., there's an indication all of a sudden, like the last few models that come in the last couple of hours, that some storms may start to develop even earlier than midday. And that's why we have that 9 a.m. time frame for that far northwest area. That cold front should move through during the early afternoon hours, probably approaching Macomb and the Baton Rouge Metro right around 3 p.m. Once that cold front does move through, the severe weather risk will end. However, you will still see some rainfall, could even see some moderate to even brief heavy rainfall as we anticipate a few storms and especially shower activity to continue after that front initially. We won't see everything kind of clear out and clean out of the area until more like midnight or afterwards when the main system pushes east of the area. But across more like the Baton Rouge area, Thibodaux, you're looking at Denham Springs, Livingston Parish area, LaPlace, Hammond, Tangipahoa, across St. Tammany, Washington Parish, and into Walthall County and Pearl River County. That area is probably where we're most concerned with from a standpoint of severe weather. It's going to have the potential greatest instability because it's going to be during the afternoon hours. Shear will still be good enough, and with basically the storms being so close to the ground, it's not going to take much for anything to try to drop down to the ground. And that is the area that we're most concerned with. It's going to be during that afternoon and early evening. And early evening hours is probably more like towards Covington and Poplarville. However, like Baton Rouge, Macomb, Hammond, probably going to be more just during the afternoon because that front, again, once the front moves through, the severe weather risk is over. So just getting that front through, you're looking more just rainfall and some lightning. That third area, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., is kind of late. It's probably going to be just a few storms to try to fire out ahead of the line, but most of the rain's likely going to end up holding off until the cold front moves through, which will be during the evening hours, and which is why like 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Also, that severe weather risk is probably the lowest in those areas. Hopefully, we don't get any thunderstorms to develop out ahead of the line and train, because that is a concern for us. That multiple thunderstorms will move over the same area, especially during the afternoon hours. Hopefully that doesn't occur a little bit further to the east. So it just takes a shift of about 20 miles. If that occurs over the east, you've got those thunderstorms that try to train now over New Orleans, which can't handle the rainfall. Slidell, which also struggles with the rainfall. And then if you get any areas across coastal Mississippi that do struggle with some of the drainage as well. But right now, it looks like that training of the rain is going to occur over that kind of that area number 2 and into area number 1. And then speak of the rainfall, this is the forecast total rainfall. Overall, we're looking at widespread 1 to 3 inches across the area. You can even see those lower amounts, that we're showing right now. Gulfport, half to 1, Homa, half to 1. But I wouldn't really focus more on those because that's just kind of the widespread. It's not accounting for the stronger storms or any training, which is hard to really resolve until we see it, almost kind of see the whites of its eyes. And that's what we're looking for right now. We do anticipate to see 1, maybe 2 bands of much heavier rainfall, and in that circled area is kind of the location we're a little bit more concerned with for flash flooding, and that's mainly because we're expecting those thunderstorms to develop during the afternoon hours, and those thunderstorms, they're not going to push east, but the storms themselves are going to move to the northeast. So you could have kind of this row, or as we call training of thunderstorms, multiple storms that move over the same area. So if you have a thunderstorm that's just southwest of Macomb, and then another one that's maybe just north to northeast of Baton Rouge, and then one that's just west of Baton Rouge, those 3 storms right there aren't going to push east as much as the storms are going to move northeast, going over the same area, which is why we're trying to show those little bands of heavier rainfall. And as you've seen recently in the last 2 months, and if you've been down here for a while, you realize that thunderstorms, they're usually really efficient rain producers. So it would not be out of the realm of, honestly, most of us expect to see higher rainfall totals with some isolated areas showing 3, 4, 5, maybe even approaching 6 inches of rainfall. But just trying to tell you where that's going to occur today is impossible. It only takes, again, a shift of 10 or 20 miles, and then that 6-inch rainfall total could drop all the way down to 1 inch, whereas the area where you're expecting 1 inch or less could see 6 inches of rain. So it's just, that's going to be more just watching the radar and getting an idea where things are lining up. But that's the concern, is we do think it's going to line up somewhere. So there's going to be some areas, probably even 2 lines, bands that have the heavier rainfall totals. And obviously, if they fall over the wrong areas that struggle with drainage, especially any urban areas with a lot of cement, you could quickly see some minor flash flooding. Overall, though, we're not expecting a big flash flood risk. This is a very short time frame as well. This is going to occur over 12, 18, 24 hours. So the overall risk of heavy rainfall, including into river flooding, is not high. However, I would anticipate some impact on the rivers, especially like the Tickfall, the Tangipahoa, Boga Chitto, Boga Falaya, and those areas where we're kind of expecting the best chance for some heavy rainfall. They're also what we call more of the flashier rivers that respond much faster. So it's just something for us to kind of keep an eye on over the next 24, 36 hours. Now, model guidance, again, a lot don't take this as gospel, but does kind of give you an idea of what we're kind of anticipating, what we're looking at. Tomorrow will probably begin very quiet for most of the area, as you can see, between 6 and 9 a.m. However, there are some indications things could start maybe an hour or two earlier. We'll see if that's the case. I have a feeling still is going to hold off till at least after 8 a.m. But overall, you can see mostly quiet, maybe a few scattered showers developing just west of the area, kind of the Atchafalaya Basin, and then towards Lake Charles and into coastal portions of Texas. And then as we move forward and kind of get into those late morning hours, you can see the thought process is that we're expecting thunderstorms to really start to develop. We got increasing instability, and then we're starting to get basically some better, what we call forcing, better dynamics to work with coming out of the southwest. That's going to push into our area, and we'll probably see a response in the environment with thunderstorms starting to develop. Most of this activity is probably going to remain east of I-55 at least, and probably remain mostly east of I-55 throughout even the early afternoon hours. But a few of these storms could start to become severe. Probably going to be more towards like that 11 a.m. midday time frame, 8 a.m. We may not quite have enough forcing or instability to really get some more potent thunderstorms. But as we start getting later in the day, that potential does increase. So as we move towards the late morning and into the early evening afternoon hours, as you can see from this one model right here, the idea is that these storms are going to start getting a little bit more robust, a little bit, you can see they're a little bit sharper, stronger updrafts. This is when we're expecting the severe weather risk to start to increase. At this point in time, if this actually played out like this scenario, there's probably going to be a tornado watch out for some portions of our area. Right now, we'll just have to see what happens and how the environment works out overnight, and then how things look tomorrow morning. But if this plays out as we're showing right now, this is when we start to increase the severe weather risk and even the flash flooding. And as I mentioned earlier, the storms we're expecting to move kind of northeast, possibly across the same area multiple times. As you go from this image to this image, the storms themselves, that band, that line didn't move east. They just it got stronger and stayed over the same areas. And if we go forward, you look near Macomb in the middle of this circle, that doesn't change much. So that's why we're expecting that heavy rainfall. However, that's also these areas that we're expecting the best chance for severe. Everything kind of lines up for possible tornadoes during this afternoon time frame. Across mainly, again, those kind of Florida parishes and across southwest Louisiana. But even if you look back to the southwest, there's still stuff south of the Atchafalaya Basin, even well down into the Gulf of Mexico. Those storms we'll have to keep an eye on too, because they could still bring a severe risk, even to as far south as Houma, but especially like Thibodaux, south of the Baton Rouge area. And those storms are going to move to the northeast. However, as we push into the later afternoon hours, early evening hours, we're going to start seeing the best instability start to come down a little bit, and the best dynamics and forcing really pull off to the northeast. Still have pretty strong storms, likely a few severe storms across the Florida parishes and west Mississippi, south central Mississippi. But the activity, you look south of New Orleans, it's still mostly rain-free. Even the areas southwest of Baton Rouge going towards like Morgan City and into the Gulf, those storms of the Gulf have gotten much weaker. And then we have a few potent storms still, but they're not making any eastward progress right now. And that's because most of the best dynamics are really starting to pull away at this time. And then as we get into the late afternoon, early evening hours, you can see those storms right there are likely associated with the cold front pushing in. If you look just to the left of that light blue circle, those are all behind the cold front. So there is no severe weather expected with that. The area that possibility of strong and severe storms would be in that blue circled area. And again, that's with the cold front, probably transitioning more into a damaging wind threat, and then localized heavy rainfall. especially if you get a few storms that kind of just run over the same area. And then as you get to 6 to 9 p.m., you can see the cold front continues to make progress. At this point in time, the cold front's expected to be through most of southeast Louisiana, especially the North Shore areas, and even probably through the New Orleans metro area during 6, 7, maybe as late as 8 p.m. that night. But it is still it still hasn't pushed through coastal Mississippi. So there's still a chance of some strong to severe storms across coastal Mississippi during the early evening hours. However, behind that line, again, a lot of moderate rains likely, even some pockets of heavier rain, but no severe weather is a concern for those storms back there. And then we go through a little bit more. The cold front continues to try to catch up. It's trying to push through coastal Mississippi. A lot of just moderate rain with embedded thunderstorms behind that cold front. And as you can see, outside of that circle to the left, it's almost completely rain free, and even you see those little very kind of feathered, really look like brush strokes. That's just considering probably more clouds and just the colder weather, the cooler temperature starting to come in. Now it's not going to be extremely cold yet, but you will definitely notice a difference between seeing highs in the 70s, maybe even approaching lower 80s tomorrow, to temperatures quickly dropping in the evening and overnight hours. So that's kind of the outlook we're looking at tomorrow. What our plan is, how we're expecting things to maybe kind of play out tomorrow. Obviously, a little bit changes here or there, timing and location-wise. But that's pretty much the gist of it. One thing just to remember, luckily this is happening during the day and not overnight like a lot of our events try to in the past. Do have multiple ways, though. Even if you're at work, most people probably still have access to the internet. You're going to have your cell phone. No weather radio, or let friends and family. Kids will be getting off at school and they're going home. Make sure that they at least have an idea that there is a chance of severe weather. So make sure they know where to go if there's a storm, and then make sure they have a way that you can get a hold of them. They can get a hold of you to get that information if you find out that a warning has been issued. Obviously, some of the best way to get this information is usually local TV and radio. So whoever your trusted local meteorologist is, by all means, listen to them. Any of the apps on your cell phone can work. Also, the NOAA weather radio. Not everyone has one. Again, most of this is usually used more as to wake you up at 3, 4 a.m. in the morning. But it is going to get you that warning as well, as long as it's turned on and attached to the right transmitter. Remember your wireless emergency alerts on your cell phone. If you have turned them on, please go back and look at how to turn them off. Please go and look to see how to turn them back on, just in case tomorrow. I'm sure most of you would rather know that you have a tornado warning if you are driving, or if you're at work and you're just not paying attention to the weather at that point in time, because this is geolocated to your cell phone. It's free of charge, and it'll let you know that if you are, at least if that tower that your cell phone is connected to is within the warning, and then you'll get the warning sent to your cell phone. And last but not least, kind of sheltering from a tornado, especially if you're in like a mobile home, whatever, you want to make sure that you have a location to go to. A lot of places do not have basements down here, obviously, because of the high water table. So if you're in a multiple story building, go to the lowest floor. Find an interior small room. You want to put as many walls between you and outside as possible. And it's kind of what I always do with my kids. And I always bang on the wall. So you want to put as many walls between you and the outside. It's more protection from you from whatever's outside. Center room is great. Used to tell people go into a bathroom and get in the bathtub. A lot of problems with the open floor plans a lot of houses have is most of the bathrooms are usually on exterior walls. So, but if you have that interior bathroom, you have an interior closet, that's definitely where you want to go. Also, kind of pre-plan, especially the kids, make it fun for them. Pre-plan to have a bike helmet or football, baseball helmet, softball helmet, something like that. Maybe a few pillows. Obviously, kind of pair of old shoes. In your safe space right there. That way they can have it. You don't have to go looking for it when a warning's issued. It's already there and ready for you to use. And that is it from us over here. Thanks again for following along. Obviously, if you have any more questions, you can comment on the video, send us a message, and we'll try to get back to you. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Hopefully this did provide you information, got you ready for tomorrow, and everyone have a nice day.